I went there.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to TecSocial. With the weather is frightful outside tonight, but we're going to get started anyway. We try to keep things as close to on schedule as we can. So we started webcasting, and I suspect, based on some of the email that I've been getting, I suspect that we will have a few viewers watching our gathering here this evening. I'm Bob Kelly from InnovaCorp. I'm your host for tonight, and tonight we are taking a moment to remember Bill Faulkner. And on the 22nd, a good friend to very many in the early tech community in Cape Breton, Bill passed away, and in Halifax. And as all of us in the room know, he spent a good part of his working life here in Cape Breton and was really a pioneer in technology in Sydney, having first brought the Texas Instruments computer shop here in Sydney, and then later bringing Apple. I've heard from a number of folks about road trips to Boston to buy gear, and but I think what stands out mostly is his great nature, his positive attitude, and the encouragement that he brought to anybody that was in the information technology industry. I first met Bill when I was part of JCI Cape Breton, and Bill was host of an interview series that we were doing at the time called the Business Masterclass, and he was an awesome host. Yeah, he had such sharp wit and a great sense of humor. He instantly put everybody at ease. Yeah. And just to the series it's been missing for a while, but there is one right now on YouTube, and I'm going to play just the intro so you can get a sense of what Bill was like. Just to go bring back memories.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight our guest is Irving Schwartz. It's ever said that about someone that they met.
It's got to be Irving. He's probably got the most recognizable face in Cape Breton. And I was thinking about that this morning. The only face that I could think that was more recognizable was the Matt Puffin, the tourist bureau. They got it all over the place. Like, Irving is probably, but you're better looking Irving than the Puffin. But certainly, when you think of business and Cape Breton, it's hard not to think of Irving. And so, like a lot of, it's okay if I call you an icon, Irving? I'm not well. Certainly as a role model, a lot of people don't. They know all of us know something about him, but we may not know the whole thing. So tonight, I can say that we're going to learn everything about Irving Schwartz. No, you know what I'm going to say next, right? I guarantee it. So Irving, welcome. So come on out.
Thank you very much.
So you and I don't really know each other, and I like it like that. Not
Oh, yeah.
But it just makes it kind of interesting because I'll be learning as we talk. But what I do know is you started in the waterfront. Is that?
We won't go into the interview. It is on YouTube if you search Business Masterclass Irving Schwartz, you'll find this, and it really Bill does a wonderful job, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But right now, what I want to do is just open up the mic to anybody who wants to share a story, a memory of Bill. I know there are lots. As soon as we announced that this was going to be the TecSocial, I started getting email and calls and people telling me stories, and I kept saying, okay, just hold on to that and tell that story on Thursday night. So I don't have a list, but if you wanna come up, all right, come on up, Jim.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jim Adicott. I don't want to contradict anything anybody said so far. but Bill Faulkner used to piss me off. Okay? Like, I was sitting in my office at ECBC. I'd be upbeat, happy, I'd be cheerful. And when Bill left, I felt like jumping off the Sea Island Bridge. And the reason was, he was much happier, much more upbeat, much more positive than anybody I ever knew. And so relatively, I was depressed by the time he left. But that's basically my observation, is that I've never met anybody that you could say, if you said something to Bill like, well, Bill, this proposal you have, like, I don't quite, it doesn't quite fit with our parameters. And that wouldn't bother him. He'd say, okay, well, we'll just switch this. What if we did this? And like, he always had a workaround to do things. He was so pleasant and so kind and like caring type of person. Like, he made me feel guilty. And that's why I wanted to jump off the Sea Island Bridge. But basically, no, he was a wonderful guy. And he did a lot with all of us individually to help us, and collectively. You remember that group, Media Fusion and all that sort of stuff? Remember he came, he was one of the guys along with Richard and them. He said, we want to do Media Fusion. I said, what's that? Still don't know. Anyway, that was my observation. It was wonderful. He's a wonderful guy, and it's sad that he passed away so young, but that's my observation. Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. The words that I used in the email invite, I borrowed from a great Facebook post that Todd Graham had put up about Bill. So I'm going to ask Todd. Todd, do you want to come up and tell a story or two about Bill?
Funny story. I'll pause this over here first. I'll load it up again. Bill and I shared an office for about a year and a half. Suck at this. He helped me through a hard time when I was sick. So I kind of put a lot of that together. Anyway, on the happier stuff, we all moved into Silicon Island, right? So at that time, there was a lot of, a lot of that tech thing going on, and we were, I guess, modeling ourselves. I guess some of the culture coming out of Southern California and that kind of lifestyle, and everyone had these communal offices, and it was part work and part fun, the whole bit. So anyway, I think it was around Christmas time for sure. I think I'd come back from getting something over at Samies or Super Valley or whatever the one is over at City River. And I came back and I said, Bill, I was up there and there's a foosball table out there. They got foosball tables on sale. So I said, well, we're going to go get one. So we jumped in his car and we drove out to Super Valley to get this foosball table. And anyway, the pile in there, it was Christmas and busy, and we went through the cash and we got it all checked out. And as we're walking up, we're carrying on the whole bit, and we're walking out of the store, and they had the big Coca-Cola display with the big Coca-Cola Santa next to it, right? So I said, well, look at that Santa, and Bill looks at me and says, we just bought a foosball table. I think that's ours. And he grabbed it. He put it on top of the foosball table, and I was looking around. I've never seen one before in my life. So anyway, we got Santa Claus, and we took the foosball table back, and we set up in the lobby. So he was a fun guy. He also introduced me to. I've only been back once or twice, but the chicken burger. Yes, he loved the chicken burger. Yeah, he loved the chicken burger. So that was kind of cool. Other than that, I don't know. The first time I met him, and maybe some of you might remember, but he started down on George Street with a little computer shop it was where the bus used to sort of do the transfer, right? I don't know what they call that, if it was a station or whatever. So the one memory I have from that, I probably was only more than 12 years old or 14 years old. I mean, sometime back then, but. He had these Texas Instruments computers, and I remember they had a voice-activated baseball game. I don't know if you ever saw that, but and we're talking, what was it, 80, 79, something like that. So it was pretty crude by modern perspectives. It wasn't World of Warcraft or game of whatever's going on these days. I'm not a big gamer, but I remember you put this headset on and you would say third, and the four little pixels that were blocked together would throw another pixel that would kind of flip across the screen. It would hit another group of pixels, and that would be the ball being thrown to second base. And we all thought that was just that was something else. So I remember demoing that there and trying to get it to work, and it was interesting how things kind of transpire. Anyway, yeah, who missing?
Thanks, Todd. I see Owen's making his way, so I'll get a photo back up again.
It's kind of neat that Bill brought all us old timers back together. You think of the tag and so many things. There was such great potential. But I think back to, I'm trying to think of the years. The time flies. But when he was on George Street, that had to be in the early 80s. And but he hadn't accepted it that, well, I don't know if Apple had released their Apple II at that point. And it was around then that I remember going up to Mensa in Halifax and bought my first Apple II or IIe. But from then on, Bill opened his place up on Bendick Street, wasn't it? So he was a neighbor of mine right behind where I had my studio. So I'd be up there every second day. So Bill and I became good friends. And I just developed an addiction to Apple products and computers. Just the other day, I had to go out and buy the new iPhone. But Bill was, and I kind of blame that addiction. I think he's the one that really caused the addiction for me with the Apple products and that. It took Matthew a longer time. I don't know if you ever.
Well, I got Apple products.
Poor Matthew's idea at first. But where Bill and I had the greatest time, he was great at marketing because he was so upbeat and he could talk people into anything. And we had started doing this CD-ROM and Alexander Graham Bell. And I really thought we were onto something good and we could do something with this. But if you remember Harvey Weber would always sort of say, well, yeah, but have you sold any? So we had this product, we were finishing it off, and okay, now we got to sell it. Can we make money with this? And we knew that John McLennan at the time was chancellor at CBU, and he was president of Bell Canada. And we were thinking, okay, there's an anniversary coming up of Alexander Graham Bell. Is there any way we can tie this together? Bill and I sat down. So I ended up getting Bill to look after my marketing. And holy smokes, he made more trips to Ottawa, where their head office was. And finally, he had some of their officials come down. And for me, it was a huge deal. And I remember we were over, what do you call it, Gowan, over to City Mines, with these officials there. And I was petrified. Bill was practically holding my hand, sort of how to do this deal. And like they're back and forth, and you're trying to figure out what's reasonable. But when Todd posted that the other day of Bill passing away, it brought back just great memories. He's just was a really good guy, and he helped a lot of us here in Cape Breton. When you think Media Fusion and TAG and Matthew, I don't know how lately he's been doing work with you. He's helping you for a long time.
Last minute.
Right at the last minute, yeah. The last I heard from Bill, I kind of lost contact, but about a year ago or so, he sent me an email. He had heard about me having some heart issues and that, and sent me an email just wishing me well and everything. So, good guy, and certainly we all miss him. That's why we're here.
Thanks, Owen.
Richard Lowley?
Yep.
So for those watching online, I'm Richard Norway. I worked with Bill. I was the original executive director of Media Fusion, and that's where I met Bill. And then Bill took over for me when I went on to work for Packetware. And then so we worked together, on events and things in the early days of technology. And then laterally, when I joined Media Spark about 6 or 7 years ago now, I've lost track. And Bill was director of sales, and I was doing business development. And so we ended up working together. We sort of get thrown together a lot towards the end of his life, a lot more, and we sort of reacquainted ourselves. And we shared a sort of a similar quirky sense of humor, which is, Bill. And Bill was he was such an urbane gentleman. He was one of the only people I knew who could actually rock an ascot, if you know what I mean. and he did on occasion. But anyway, laterally towards in his life, he began having, increasing heart problems, and he had a unit in his chest, a combination pacemaker defib unit, which went off about 2 years ago. And his doctor told him that he'd enjoyed a period of stability for many years, but that was kind of coming to an end. But despite that, he was the most relentlessly positive person I knew. And I think he made that decision every day of his life, right? So here's a Bill story. When his heart problem started, he gave up tennis, but he kept on canoeing, as you know. And so this would have been not this past summer, but the previous one in June. I get a phone call around midday, and it's Bill. It's on my cell phone. And he's, it's his usual thing. Hey, brother, how you doing? And I say, great, Bill, great. And how are you doing? He says, oh, couldn't be better. If I was any better, I'd be cheating. And then I could hear water running in the background. And I said, Bill, where are you? Is that water I hear running in the background? And he said, well, yes, it is. I'm standing on an island in the middle of whatever river, Shubenacadie. I forget which one it was. And I thought, oh, how nice. He's calling me for, in the middle of canoeing. It's just to pass the time of day. And I said, so, sorry, you're calling from an island in the middle of the river. And he said, yeah, well, that's what I actually wanted to talk to you about. And I said, oh? He said, well, I tipped over in the canoe, and I managed to scramble to this island in the middle of the river. And I said, but your iPhone survived. He said, oh, yeah, I keep that in a plastic sack inside my, zipped up pocket along with my car keys, so it's fine, and I'm fine. I said, great, so where's the canoe? He said, well, I last saw it was going around the bend in the river. And they said, it could be around the next bend, or it could be a mile downstream at this point. I have no idea. And I started like, oh my God, Bill, what do you want me to do? He said, well, nothing, actually. That's why I'm calling you, because if I called my family in Halifax, they would absolutely panic. He said, but I think I'm okay. I'm going to send you my GPS coordinates by text, okay? And so now I'm going to head, like, the highway is just across the river up about half a mile from the riverbank. And I'm going to cross the river again and walk that. So from these GPS coordinates, I'm walking, I don't know, southeast, right? If you don't hear from me at 5 o'clock tonight, then I want you to call someone and give them my GPS coordinates and tell them where I am so they can drag me out of the woods. but I thought, is that it? Is that, yeah, that's it. I went, okay. And so the rest of the day and the afternoon, I was kind of like, oh my God. And then, I was thinking also, should I have actually called someone? Because if I didn't call someone and he died in the woods and I had notified anyone, like, now I'm on the hook for that, right? But anyway, 5 o'clock rolled around, or 3 in the afternoon, and I got a text, everything's fine. He got back to the highway, found his car, he was good. But it struck me that only he could be so cheerful in that situation. Like, I would have been thoroughly pissed off and stressed, but no, not Bill. It was just like, okay, every day's a good day. Anyway, I'm going to miss that positivism. That's a word. I think we all will. So.
Hi, Harry. Today, I know Bill a long time. When he first started in that garage, he brought in some Texas Instruments computers, and one of the ones he brought in was broken. And I had a company called Starter Shop. We did low voltage controls and a lot of stuff like that. So I was just down the street from Bill. So Bill comes down with the computer, And he said, I tried to fiddle with it, I didn't get it, I'll take a look at it. We must have worked on it for 2 or 3 hours. He was always cheerful. I said, I don't know what we're doing here. He says, all right. He says, don't matter, it's broke anyway, right? So they say after about 3 hours, we got it working, right? But we did it by soldering some wires on and some stuff, right? And it didn't look all that great. But Bill said, you know what? You should buy this one. He said that this one has your name on it. He said, and he says, I give it to you just a little bit above cost. So I bought it. It had 8K RAM on it. 8K, right? And you had to plug it into a TV because it had no screen. And to back it up, it used the old reel-to-reel tape recorders. I had a little one of those, and you backed it up onto the reel-to-reel. And what I first did with it was I had phone numbers and what people owed me. I had it down at the starter shop, and that's all you could put on it was their phone number, and that's all I wanted for was I knew who they were, and I'd call them up and say, pay your bill, right? So, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 months later, and Bill would call me and ask me stuff and things like that. He's in this Commodore 32. And he brings it down to show it to me, right? And it's 32 meg RAM, and I only have 8. And Bill's trying to sell me this Commodore 32. And I look at him and said, Bill, I says, I don't know what the hell I would do with 32K memory. I'm doing everything I want with this Texas Instrument 8K. It's got all my phone numbers, and it's got my customer's bill. What do you do with all that extra memory? And so Bill said, yeah, and he really couldn't tell me at the time because there wasn't that much owed at the time, right? He said, I could play games, but I said, no, I want it for the business, right? So Bill sort of went out his way, and then we drifted apart, and I hadn't seen him for about, maybe 2 or 3 years, right? And I seen him at a TecSocial, and he comes over to me, and I said, what are you doing now? And he says, well, I'm an evangelist. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, like the business must have been bad. He's an evangelist now. And then he said something. Yeah, he said, yeah, I really like Kawasaki. And I used to work at Calder's Kawasaki, right? So I'm thinking, oh yeah, he's remembering when I worked across the street from the bus terminal at Cowie, and worked on the Cowies and everything. And now he's into motorcycles, and he's an evangelist. And it wasn't for maybe like 2 hours later, he gives me a business card. And Apple, back then, you were an evangelist for Apple, right? So he was an Apple evangelist, and Kawasaki was the guy that started this evangelist school, right? So I'm thinking Kawasaki, the bike, is a preacher, but really he's the new Apple dealer. And I didn't even know. So that's how I found out he was an Apple dealer, right? And so that time, same thing, we drifted apart. I went IBM, and he went Mac, right? And we used to have discussions over that. And then one day we're having this sort of similar discussion at Silicon Island. And he says, I give stuff like this a lot of thought. He says, I've always been thinking like why you went the IBM route and why I've gone the Apple route. And he said, and what our differences are, right? And like me, that's not sort of I never get that deep, right? But he's deep. And he says to me, he says, we're like manhole covers. He says, there's 2 kinds of manhole covers. He said, there's ones that are welded down, and there's ones when the water comes up underneath, they bubble up and they bounce around. He says, you're that bouncy one. He says, and I'm the one that's welded down. He says, I like things that like Apple, like it's in order and everybody knows what's going on. He says, and that's the difference between the 2 of us. So every time after that, when I thought of Bill, I'd see myself as a bouncy manhole cover. And I'm going to end it with that.
Thanks very much, Donnie. Definitely some great stories that we could go on all night, I'm sure. But I think in the interest of brevity and allowing the social part of the evening to continue, we'll just move along. And in closing, I just want to say, in honor of Bill, we've located the video series, and we will have it digitized and published on gocapebreton.com. So thanks, everybody. We've got a couple of announcements. If you don't have your business card in our door prize draw, now is the chance to do that. We'll give you a minute to do that. And
You just ruined our chance, Bob. I don't know anything about this.
for those watching online, thanks very much. We're going to end our broadcast, but continue the celebration here in Sydney. Thanks.